5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. In a constitutional democracy, the power of granting pardons is an essential element of the system of justice. This power acts as a safety valve in the legal system, ensuring that justice is tempered with mercy. The President, being the head of the state, is entrusted with this vital power to pardon or reduce the punishment of individuals who have been convicted under the laws of the nation. This power is exercised under the constitutional authority granted to the President and serves both humanitarian and constitutional purposes. The power of pardon is part of the broader category of clemency powers and includes several types, each with its own nature and legal consequences. These include pardon, commutation, remission, respite, and reprieve. Understanding each type of pardon helps in grasping the scope and significance of this presidential power. A pardon is the most comprehensive form of clemency power. When the President grants a pardon, it completely absolves the individual of the legal consequences of the crime and the conviction. It has the effect of erasing both the punishment and the guilt associated with the offense. The person is treated as though the conviction never occurred. A pardon can be granted even before the sentence is served or during the term of imprisonment. It may also be given after the sentence has been completed, in which case it works as an official act of forgiveness. This form of pardon is generally granted in exceptional cases where the President is convinced that the punishment was either too harsh or that the person deserves a second chance. It is also sometimes used when new evidence emerges after conviction or when the justice system is found to have erred. The pardon is absolute and once granted, the person is no longer considered a convict in the eyes of the law. The second type of clemency is commutation. Commutation refers to the reduction of the severity of a punishment without removing the conviction itself. For instance, a death sentence can be commuted to life imprisonment, or a long prison term may be reduced to a shorter one. Unlike a pardon, commutation does not wipe out the guilt of the individual. It simply makes the punishment less severe. The conviction continues to stand, but the punishment is altered to reflect a more lenient approach. This is usually granted when certain mitigating circumstances come to light, such as the convict's good conduct in prison, their health condition, or humanitarian reasons. Commutation is a way to ensure that the punishment remains proportionate to the nature of the crime while still upholding the principle of justice. Remission is another type of clemency that involves the reduction of the period of punishment without changing its nature. In other words, the original sentence remains intact, but the duration of the punishment is shortened. For example, a person sentenced to 10 years of imprisonment may be granted remission that reduces the term to 7 years. Remission does not alter the character of the sentence, nor does it remove the conviction. It merely shortens the time the person has to spend in prison. Remission is often used on ceremonial occasion or to reward good behavior by prisoners. Respite is a form of clemency in which a temporary delay or suspension is granted in the execution of a sentence. The punishment is not cancelled or reduced, but its enforcement is postponed for a certain period. Respite is often granted on humanitarian grounds. For example, if a prisoner is seriously ill, pregnant, or facing some other special condition, the execution of the sentence may be delayed. Respite allows the individual to recover or deal with their personal circumstances before the sentence is carried out. It is not a permanent relief from punishment, but a temporary concession given out of compassion. Reprieve is similar to respite in that it also involves delaying the execution of a sentence, particularly in capital punishment cases. However, the reprieve is usually granted with the intent of giving the convict time to seek relief through judicial or executive means. It is a temporary postponement that allows the person to file an appeal, seek a review, or petition for mercy. During this period, the execution of the sentence is kept on hold. A reprieve does not alter the sentence itself, but it gives the convict a chance to explore other legal or constitutional remedies. It reflects the principle that every individual should have the opportunity to exhaust all avenues of justice before the punishment is executed. The President's power to grant these types of pardons is not an arbitrary one. It is guided by principles of justice, fairness, and compassion. The President usually exercises this power after receiving recommendations from the Ministry of Home Affairs, which consults the concerned authorities including the judiciary and prison officials. The objective is to ensure that the clemency power is exercised judiciously and not misused for political or personal reasons. Although the President is not bound by the advice given, in practice the decision is usually based on expert recommendations to maintain transparency and accountability. The power of pardon serves multiple purposes in the legal system. It provides a mechanism to correct judicial errors that may not have been identified during trial or appeal. It also acts as a moral and ethical tool to show mercy in deserving cases. Further, it serves a rehabilitative function by recognizing that individuals can change and reform. In some cases, it can also be a gesture of goodwill, for instance, in cases involving political prisoners or when the state seeks to promote reconciliation. It is important to note that the President's power to grant pardons is limited to offences under laws made by the national legislature. In the case of offences under laws made by the state legislatures, the corresponding power lies with the governor of the state. This division of power is consistent with the federal structure of the Constitution and ensures a balance between the authority of the central and state governments. Stop.